bring in Charles Barkley, TNT Inside the NBA analyst. And last time I talked to you about this topic with James Harden, that was November 25th, and you didn't think it could work. Change your opinion?
Not at all. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's going to be I think they bought him in because they wasn't sure what was going to happen with Kyrie. They bought him in as an insurance policy. And now I think it's going to be fascinating watching those three guys play together if they all play together. I mean, we have no idea what's going on with Kyrie. But no, I don't think it's going to work at all because those other guys don't bring in the diversity to the table. Those other two guys, they are offensive players. They don't play defense. They don't rebound. So it's only one basketball. I think it's got zero chance of working.
But you also, and you know this, where it feels like KD could get 30 on 16 shots. You know, he would find a way to get to the line, and he can be economical. The other guys are volume shooters. Certainly Harden is. And then I just wonder, what kind of offense do you run when you have three alphas like that?
Well, I think that's why I don't think it's going to work. I think it's really going to be like they just going to take turns, and I don't think that's going to work. Because like I say, other than KD, the other two guys, they're not going to, like, when KD went to Golden State, he's like, okay, I'll play defense and I'll rebound the ball. I don't see Kyrie and James doing that. I think when KD got the ball, they're just going to be standing around. And so I don't think, like I say, listen, I don't think it's going to work at all. It's going to be fun watching because seeing how James and Kyrie handle the New York media, to me, is going to be like the most fascinating part of this whole thing.
But if we know this, the Nets have to know this, then how is this going to work? So what are they thinking why is this going to work in their minds, and we have, a big question mark attached to it?
Well, because I think it's what KD wanted to do. I mean, KD wanted Kyrie, and now I think he realized it now, like, yeah, this is not going to work. I better bring James in here as an insurance policy. That's what I think happened. But clearly KD is running the organization. So I think this was about what he wanted.
What do you think Steve Nash is thinking today?
I'm going to get the blame if this thing don't work. They're going to kill me. Like, and I really think they put Steve in a really awkward position because Steve Nash is obviously was a great player and he's a great guy. But you got one guy comes out and says, hey, we don't need a coach.
Yeah.
And now you bring in James, who clearly shows up when he wants to. So I think it really puts Steve between a rock and a hard place. Because, listen, if they have to get rid of somebody, it's going to be Steve Nash. But it's not going to be James or KD.
But you think...
I think Kyrie is the wild card in this whole thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Do you think that they're ready to move on from Kyrie? Because I don't know everybody's kind of casual about where Kyrie is and what he's doing. I don't know if he wants to play, and it doesn't sound like he's really that interested in coming back anytime soon.
Well, I think this is the reason they made the trade. I think the Nets have lost faith in Kyrie. They're like, and I think Kevin has lost, like, I better bring James in here because, listen, even without Kyrie, James and KD together is pretty formidable. I mean, they're going to be just as good with or without Kyrie. So I think KD's like, yo, man, I can't trust this dude. He shows up when he wants to. He's going to do his own thing. I've got to bring James in as an insurance. Hey, and listen, let's be something straight. This is probably the greatest insurance policy we ever seen in the NBA.
How do you feel if you're Ben Simmons today?
Well, I think he can relax now and realize that the Sixers, this is his team and Joel's team. We got no idea who the best team in the Eastern Conference is. And he's got to, Ben and Joel got to come to the understanding that, hey, you know what? We ran our other coach out of town. He took the sword for us. Now we got Doc. It's time for us to start doing our job. We're in our prime right now. So I think him and Joel got to take a look in the mirror and say, hey, listen, we let them blame Brett Brown. Whether it was true or not, we let them blame him. But now we got Doc. We've got to get our stuff together.
You think LeBron and AD are concerned about what the Nets just did?
No. I mean, they're still the best duo. Listen, there's nobody right now, if you get any fool or jackass on your show today, we're all guessing about the Nets. Ain't nobody going to get on here and tell you they are the NBA favorites right now. If they do that, they don't know anything about basketball. I mean, I got to be honest with you, Dan. I said this when you said this a few months ago. I would love to be a fly on the wall because I prayed that they got James Harden because I want to see this social experiment, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fascinating, and it's in New York City.
Do you think the commissioner likes this deal?
No, I think that he don't. First of all, Adam's amazing, but I don't think he wants players running the league. Because listen, let's get one thing: the commissioner always works for the owners. So I don't think. I mean, and there's only like 3 or 4 players who have this type of power. But what they don't understand is when you lose your superstars, you ruin franchises. There used to be a great. People say, well, the teams won the championship. Yeah, but there were still great players in other cities. And now we're making so many cities irrelevant. And listen, I know one thing. I cannot wait for the collective bargaining agreement when these owners slap these boys back. It's going to be very fascinating because everybody's like, well, the players got all this power. Yeah, but they don't have all that money. And the 4 or 5 players who are great, they're gonna get they're gonna get all their money, but these guys underneath, they're gonna be hurting in a few years.
What do you think LeBron would be worth if there was no salary cap?
Well, I've always thought that was a stupid argument, Dan. Everybody's making money. Listen, if we just gonna pay the superstars, we'd only be paying like 3 or 4 players, and everybody else be making $1 million. Let's say hypothetically LeBron was worth 60 or 70 million. They're not gonna pay everybody else. At least now we got 5. Think about it. There's 3 guys on the Nets gonna be making $40 million, and probably only one of them deserve to be making $40 million. And think about it. There's a bunch of guys on the Lakers who make $6 to $10 to $15 million. They only got to pay AD and LeBron. So I hear guys talk about if there was no salary cap. The salary cap worked for the other players, not the great players. And let's don't act like the great players aren't getting compensated. James Harden makes $41 million a year. He's good. Same thing with KD and Kyrie. They both make $40 million a year. But if we just gonna pay, listen, Anthony Davis, LeBron, KD, Steph, those guys probably deserve to be paid whatever they can be paid. But then we wouldn't be able to pay anybody else because you're not gonna pay all the other guys $30, $40 million because you only need those stars.
John Wall makes $40 million a year.
That's my point, Dan. And John Wall's a good player. John Wall's a good player. I don't want to disparage him. He's a good player. But I hate these guys when they get on TV and say, well, if we had the free market, well, we can pay LeBron, but wait, okay. If I'm going to pay LeBron $100 million, everybody else on the team going to make $1 million.
What's the most you ever made in your career?
$5 million.
Felt pretty rich, didn't you?
Dan, I never hate on these young guys for making money because I made more money than Dr. J and Wilt Chamberlain, and Bill Russell, and they were clearly much, much better players than me. But hey, it is what it is. I wish all these guys great success, and I hope they save their money. That's the most important thing. But you can't ever worry about because of inflation. Every generation. Well, I tell you what's going to be interesting when the COVID tax become due, because not just in basketball, there's going to be ramifications in every sport, because the COVID thing is real, and I think in the next 3 or 4 years that COVID tax is going to come due. And it's probably going to be what you said earlier. They're going to like, hey, you other guys are bombs. I'm going to pay LeBron. I'm going to pay AD. The rest of you guys going to take the minimum. And I think not just in basketball, though. I think it's going to happen like that in every sport. Because these owners, they didn't buy these teams to lose money.
Happy New Year. Good to see you.
Hey, Dan, it's good to see you guys, man. I hope everybody's safe and healthy. This COVID thing, man, it's been crazy. And
you look good. You look like you lost some weight.
I'm getting in shape, Dan. I promise that's my New Year's resolution, to get my fat behind. I'm tired of being fat. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. So that's my New Year's resolution.
What do you weigh? What do you weigh now?
I'm tired of wearing all black clothes. I want to wear some lighter colors this year. That's my goal. I want to go in my other closet that's not all black.
What do you weigh now?
330.
What's the most you weighed?
350.
What's Shaq weigh?
Oh, if he get on the scale, it's gonna say one person at a time,
please. Oh God. Is Shaq 4 spins?
Is what?
Does he weigh 400?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah. But you know what the thing about it? Shaq ain't fat. He's just the biggest human being I've ever been around in my life. I mean, you know, you've been around Shaq. Shaq ain't never gonna be fat. He's just humongous.
How did you compete with that? You're 6'4.5" or whatever, and you competed with that, man. Well,
listen. And me and Kevin McHale said this many times. He was saying that the first time he saw Shaq, he was standing beside Robert Parrish. He says, "Yeah, it's about time for us to get out of the league, Chief." Kevin McHale tells that story all the time. He says the first time he saw Shaquille in person, Robert Parrish says, "Chief, it's time for us to look for another profession because these kids are too big now."
But you see Steve Nash be an MVP with his size. Steph Curry, like that's what's amazing to us when we see this and see how big guys are, fast, strong.
Yeah, but listen, I didn't play against Wilt Chamberlain, but other than Shaquille and I guess Wilt Chamberlain, those were the only two guys who were bigger, stronger than everybody else. I mean, listen, I played against guys who were 7 feet tall, but they didn't have Shaquille's athletic ability and things like that. You know, Mark Eden was a hell of a player. You know, I'm trying to think of Mutombo. But those guys, that's like night and day when you talk about athletic ability. Mark Eden was a hell of a shot blocker, so was Mutombo. But if those guys were to get in a foot race or a jumping contest with Shaq, it would be a no-brainer. I mean, that guy was the most dominating, physically imposing guy I've ever played against and seen in my life. But like I say, when you play against another 7-footer, like when I played against McHale, who was 7 feet, or Parrish, those guys were big, but they didn't have the most amazing athletic ability.
Just to see Shaq out there, I remember when he was in Orlando and he's like leading the fast break. You know, he so desperately wanted to be a point guard at times and just be out there and running the 3-on-2 break.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, to be that big and that fast is just crazy, Dan. I mean, it really was.
Yeah. Hey, it's great to talk to you as always. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you soon.
Yes, sir, my brother. Be safe.
That's Charles Barkley,
for having me.
TNT Inside the NBA analyst.